Hi folks, welcome back to Stacey Can. Today I am making pear mincemeat. Got a lot of pears from some very dear friends of mine's mother, her farm. She has a few pear trees that are just dripping with pears, so she gave me a bunch. And a family favorite of theirs is some pear mincemeat pies. So I found this recipe through the Ball canning book, which is a great one. Just make sure that you get the most recent, the new and updated version. That's really important. Always make sure you're using the most up-to-date recipe that you can find. While I go over all of this information here, you can follow along down below in the show notes, and while you're down there, please hit like and subscribe because that does help. So the ingredients that you need are a cup of currants. So currants, they can be a little tricky to find. I found them through a regional grocer we have here that has a lot of spices and such in bulk. That's a good way to find them. Actually ended up, that's one spot to get them, and then I did find these at Whole Foods. You can get them online as well. Keep in mind, I did ask if I asked my local extension office if I could substitute with cranberries, and you can't because currants are a lot drier than cranberries. So you can have an offset of the water content in the preservation process and the shelf stability piece there. So find your currants. Trader Joe's apparently has some, but I think you can find them. They're not terribly difficult to find. So you're just gonna have to look. They're just not at every grocery store. Just keep that in mind. A cup of golden raisins. We need an orange and a lemon, the zest of both and the juice from them both. A half cup of brown sugar. We're gonna lightly pack that. I need 2 teaspoons of cinnamon, 2 teaspoons of nutmeg, and a half a teaspoon of ginger. All 3 of these are ground. A pinch of salt. 10 cups of pears that are cored, peeled, chopped, and treated to prevent browning. More on that in a second. And then a cup of almonds that are slivered and blanched. I'm not gonna blanch mine, but these are definitely slivered. I bought them that way, and oh, they are. It actually says blanched almonds. They are blanched. You're welcome. Clearly I wasn't reading. It's been a busy week, back to school and a bunch of canning, so that's my excuse. And then 1/4 of a cup of rum, and that's optional. I'm not gonna add the rum because the only rum I have in the house at the moment is spiced rum, and I don't wanna use spiced rum in this. I think it wouldn't, in my opinion, it would offset the flavor in this beautiful flavor profile. So I'm choosing to not add rum for this, but you do you on that piece. Now the tools that you need are, definitely need a zester and a citrus squeezer, or you can squeeze it with your hand, whatever you want to do there. I do have my funnel here. I've got my my Headspace tool, my lid lifter, because I am heating the lids up. I've got a chopstick for bubbling. I've got my jar lifter and my ladle. Those are the basic hand tools that we need. Also need our stock pot. We're gonna need a paper towel to clean the lids. Not a stock pot, my canner, which is in the other room as I get going on. So pull that out. You have to have your jars, lids, rings. You need some towels. Pan to heat up your lids. If you're gonna heat them up, you don't have to. I choose to. You can even just run some hot water over the lids. I just like to clean them off from the oils that get on the lids in the manufacturing process. That's just me. I just like to remove that. So with all that, let's go ahead and get started. Oh, yes, before we get started, lemon juice. So I've got lemon juice to prevent browning. That is, you can also use, what is it, like a fresh preserve that you can buy at the store. I'm just gonna use some lemon juice with, and the measurements here in a minute, but the lemon juice with some water that after you peel and chop up the pears, you put them in that and it keeps them from turning brown. So that's why we have the lemon juice out. Now with all that, let's go ahead and get started. First thing I'm gonna do is measure out all of these ingredients and get them ready to throw in the pot. Next step is to peel the pears, and you'll notice that there's some of these pears are pretty damaged. These are fresh pears. This one clearly fell on the ground, and they are very, very good pears, and there's also some that are a little green, so I'm gonna be sifting through and picking I think it's easiest to peel the pears whole before cutting them in half and coring them. That is just me. You do you on that piece. I will be cutting this little section off, and we'll continue to do so until I get what we need out of it, cut out of it. Ooh, like that, look at that. We're just gonna cut that whole little section off. And then I'm gonna quickly cut them up because I'm trying to make a cup here and to put into the solution here, this anti-browning. It's just lemon juice and water. So it's 1/4 cup of lemon juice with 4 cups of water. And this just keeps it from turning brown as we are prepping the pears, because they do turn brown easily. I got the pears all in here. This is 10 cups of pears chopped up in the water lemon juice solution. So I'm gonna go ahead and drain them and then get ready to put them in the pot. Okay, so I've got my cup of dried currants, my cup of raisins. These are the Sultana golden raisins. I've got my 1/2 cup of brown sugar that's lightly packed. I've got my 2 teaspoons of cinnamon, 2 teaspoons of nutmeg, 1/2 teaspoon of ginger. All of this is ground. My pinch of salt, the pears that have been cored, peeled, and chopped, the 1/2 cup of dried apricots. I made a bit of a boo-boo. I put the almonds in, and I'm not supposed to do that just yet, but I picked most of them out and I'm leaving the rest because that's how it's working today. The only thing that will happen is they will become a little bit softer than they should be. Next thing we're gonna do is zest the lemon, and I just like to zest all the fruit over the pot if I can. And we're zesting the lemon and the orange here. And now we're gonna juice the citrus here, juicing the lemon, or the orange right now. The nice thing about, and now we're juicing the lemon here. Nice thing about zesting and then juicing our fruit is, I should say I was squeezing this lemon, not zesting it, is after you zest your fruit, it's much easier to juice them. Now I've got the heat up to high, and we're just gonna carefully fold all of this in together, carefully, because you don't want to bruise the pears. And we're gonna get this up to a boil. Now I'm going to lower the heat a bit, and we're gonna boil gently, and then also cover it for about 30 minutes to get it all melded together. Got a nice little boil going here, and the 30-minute timer's gone off for this first part. And now I've taken the lid off, and we're just gonna let it kind of simmer here for another, or kind of gently boil for another 15 minutes or so until it mounds up on a spoon. A 5-minute timer has gone off, so I'm gonna go ahead and add the nuts here. And this has done a pretty good job of thickening up. It's kind of gently mounding on a spoon. And it does say to boil this for another 5 minutes. Oh, and this would be the time that you would put in the rum. I don't think I'm gonna give it 5 minutes though. I think I'm gonna just give it a couple minutes just to heat up the nuts and to come back to a boil and then go. If you were doing the rum, if you were adding the rum, you definitely need to add that extra 5 minutes to help cook out the alcohol, because the alcohol can make your final product thin. So I'm getting my jars out of the canner here. This has come up to a really, really nice thickness to it. I am quite pleased with the results here. And adding to the jars. We're filling it to a 1/2 inch headspace here. And just gently go around the edge with the chopstick or with whatever tool you're using. Just make sure it's not metal, to go around the edge as we are bubbling here. And then again down in the middle. And then I gotta add just a little bit more to get my 1/2 inch headspace. And that's got my 1/2 inch headspace. I'm gonna use the lid water to clean the rims. Just real quick rim here. Use my lid lifter. And then your ring or your band, just fingertip tight. And then up and over and into the counter goes. Do not tip or tilt and repeat. I got all the jars in the counter, so I just turn the counter up to high, the heat up to high, and when it comes to a rolling boil, I'll set the timer for my altitude. I got a rolling boil going, so I set the timer for 20 minutes for my altitude. For more altitude information for your area, just check out the side over here or down below in the show notes. 20-minute timer has gone off in my altitude, so I'm cutting the heat on the counter. And then I'm going to carefully remove the lid. Look at all that steam. That'll give you a facial you don't want. And I'm going to set another timer for 5 minutes to let the food in the jar settle. This helps with the sealing process so you don't get food in between the lid and the rim of the jar. 5-minute timer has gone off, so I'm going ahead and remove the jars. And look at that goodness. And this is how we make pear mincemeat. Now this one does not have suet in it or a meat product in it. It's just straight fruit, so that might be appealing for some folks. I am not a real big mincemeat kind of person, but I know it's an acquired taste and a lot of folks like it. So you do you on that one. But it has fantastic flavor. It's really, really good. Very, very good. It'd make an excellent pie. So it'd probably take 1, maybe 2 of these to fill up a full 9-inch pie plate. So just keep that in mind. You could also probably do more like a tart with it if you want. So, and then it would just be 1 pint jar. It says it was supposed to make 5 pints, but it really, for me, only made the 4.5 pints. So keep that in mind for purposes for you. The recipe is down below, and while you're down there, please hit like and subscribe because that does help. And if you have any questions, comments, suggestions, feedback, concerns, by all means, please reach out to me. I'm on Facebook at Stacey Can. You can at me on Instagram and TikTok at Stacey Can. My website is www.staceycancan.com, and my email is info@staceycancan.com, as well as LinkedIn at Stacey Can. Thanks so much for joining me today, and until next time, happy canning.